heard me.
Yes.
I am in love with you. And I know that love is just a shout into the void, and that oblivion is inevitable, and that we're all doomed, and that one day all of our labors will be returned to dust. And I know that the sun will swallow the only earth we will ever have. And I am in love with you. Sorry.
Hi guys, and welcome to Yarn Y'all. My name is Rachel. I'm your host for this channel, and today I'm going to be updating you on all of my whips, any finished objects, plans that I have coming up. I don't know that I'll talk too much about books, but I'll also give you a brief life update since it's been almost a month since I posted last. Actually, it's been more than a month, and I just wanted to share with you guys why I've been AWOL and what the plan is for this channel right now going forward. So hopefully that sounds interesting and you're interested in sticking around. Let's jump in right away. So the first thing that I have for us is a finished object, and for a couple of months, I think, I didn't time when I started or finished this, but I was working on my Lento, and this was nearly done when I filmed last. It's actually been done for quite a while now. I filmed the weekend of Mother's Day and was gonna show you guys this exciting finished object. It's been washed, it's been it's been soaked and blocked and everything. I have not woven in the ends. I now am uncertain when you're supposed to do that, but so far I've been doing it after everything's been blocked. So I just have ends to weave in and not even that many. It's very interesting. So when I was working on this, I don't know that you'll be able to see super well in this lighting, but when I was working on this, this white was like a cream color, and because of the blocking process and soaking process, I don't think the dye was set super well in the dyeing. And so first of all, my water was really orange-ish, leaning pink when I was done. I guess it was all this pink that is in the yarn to begin with, and so that kind of made all of this lean more of a cream, a pinky cream, rather than the whitish cream it was originally. So anyway, it is done. I have worn it a few times. Okay, so a couple things to say about this particular project. First of all, it's my first like nice yarn sweater that I've made for me. And so if you have been here since the beginning, I did make my very first sweater out of some Vantage Choice acrylic yarn. I actually love that way more than I expected it to. And so having this done was like even more exciting because it was like, like a sweater made out of wool that I like, I don't know, is more colors that I like, and I've had this yarn actually for quite some time. So anyway, it's just extremely exciting to have it like in a garment now. Unfortunately, we're here in Texas and it is June, and so it is not sweater weather, but I am trying it on, you know, for you guys. We're in Texas, so we have AC, which is really nice, or central air conditioning. I know a lot of other parts of the world don't have that. Extremely fortunate that, you know, in this part of the world it is standard. So I really am happy with the way this turned out. I don't know that you can, there we go. So it's just kind of not too loose, but it is loose-ish in this area, which is good. I did want it to have some ease, but not the whole, like, I think it's 10 inches that the pattern calls for. So it's not too tight. I will say that the, I don't know that you'll be able to, there we go. So this band here, the bottom hem, is a little bit more snug than I wanted it to be because like the cuffs look really neat and tidy, but the bottom hem is not as tidy looking, and I think that's simply because it is just stretched out more than it's supposed to be. And given that I did size down to like the smallest size, that's really no surprise there, but I'm not worried about it. I do like it, and I do think I'll wear this. I already like kind of have a mental idea of the instances I want to wear this. The thing is that I sometimes feel that my clothes are like, my favorite clothes are so precious, I don't want to wear them, especially, for example, white. And to be fair, I'm a mom, so like wearing white is not always the smartest move. I wore a white shirt the other day, and my daughter got avocado like all on the sleeves. So there's a time and place for certain things, but this I really want to make sure that it gets like some real wear. Let me show you one thing. So here in this wristband, there is some like messiness with the yarn. The bummer is that this is a fingering weight yarn. It's only 2-ply, and I'm a watch girly. I wear this thing all the time, 24/7. It never comes off. And the first time I tried this sweater on, it snagged the yarn with the watch and tore it. So like I don't know that you'll be able to see where it snagged, but I had like a big bunch, and it was very disappointing. So thankfully I do have a little bit more yarn of this type, and this is like right near the bottom of the cuff. So if it wears and I need to redo it, I have the supplies to fix it. But for now, I just kind of like redistributed the stitches so it wasn't all like scrunched up together where the snag was, and I think it will look okay once I get the ends weaved in. But that is like my biggest like, oh no, moment of this project. So now I'm gonna take it off though. So having that snag happen like so early and like the first time I ever tried it on was very disappointing. Sorry, you're like tilted. There we go. Sorry, y'all. Clearly out of practice. Anyway, so it was disappointing for that to happen, but I'm fine with it. I just need to really weave in ends. I haven't bothered with that yet just because it's not sweater season here in Texas, and so I'm just not in a hurry. I will get it done, but I have some other things I wanted to get off the needles. Plus I have a little bit of a boomerang project, so I will leave these ends to weave in until we're a bit closer to being like in between things to work on. I feel like weaving in ends is kind of one of those activities where when my daughter's busy but I don't have time to pull out like a whole mess of projects and yarn and needles and stuff, so I will probably do that when I can catch like a spare moment. But anyway, this is it. I do love just like seeing this sitting in my closet all folded up, and I cannot wait to wear it more often. So that's the Lento in my like tie-dye Hobby Lobby hand-dyed yarn. And then the other projects that I had going are Tilly the hair. She's nowhere different from a month ago, so I'm not even going to show you guys. But this project was another one that I was working on back when I was filming every week. And this I had finished. I had actually made the pattern. This is the sorbet tee, or sorbet tank, which means ice cream. It was a free pattern from Rosario. I'll link it on Ravelry, but I had made it with some modifications in terms of the bottom section here. So the pattern calls for 1x1 rib just for the first like 5 centimeters, so down here, and then the rest of it stockinette into this very like low cut V that is same level as your underarm holes. And so I had started making it and realized very quickly like I don't really love 1x1 ribbing. I've changed my mind since then, but at the time I was like, I'm gonna do a 2 or a 3x1 rib, and I'm gonna actually do it for much more of the body into like right under my bust almost, and then do stockinette all the way up. So I mostly followed the pattern with only like a few very minor modifications. However, when I got to the point where I was going to be doing only stockinette, I decided to make it difficult on myself. And if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know I made the cascata tee for my mom. I'll share with you guys a little bit more about that because it's become a bit of a boomerang. But I really liked that lace motif, and so I'll turn around so you guys I won't turn around. I'll actually insert some footage here of me wearing that. But it has this lace panel on the side, and I enjoyed working that lace. I thought it was really pretty and feminine, and thought I would introduce it into a boring stockinette pattern. I've worked with it enough to know roughly how it functions, and so that was super cool. But then I finished the main part of the body and was just like nearly done with the straps, and when I tried it on, I just felt like this portion up front was way too low cut. And I am a Texan, we're used to hot weather, we don't wear sweaters year round. I don't mind showing my skin, basically. And also, having been a lifeguard for many years as a young adult, skin is nothing to me. That being said, I still felt like this was way too low cut, and so I came back in with the teal yarn that I was using in the bottom part and for like some of these stripes here, and just did lace. And I got to about here and found that the lace was really challenging me, both because I wanted to make sure I was picking up neatly and not like making a hot mess of this eyelet detail, and also because I had some life stuff going on. So I stopped about here, and this was sitting on the shelf for like basically a month and a half, just taunting me, like taking up needles, taking up mental energy, not wearable, but not really something I felt I could work on. So this is actually not done. I'm sure you see the little like strings hanging out everywhere, all crazy. But it is ready to be blocked. I had actually blocked like from here down, just to kind of see how it was going and to make sure that I was liking the way that this was going to be fitting. But then once the blocking was done, I was like, oh, we need to extend like another inch to cover a little bit more chest. So I did that. Literally this week, I just was able, I had the bandwidth to add this inch of lace. And I know it's only an inch of lace, but as a newer knitter, like that's a lot, as well as the fact that I have a 7-month-old daughter I'm chasing around the house now, and life is a little crazy in that direction. So I didn't feel like I was ready to jump into this until just this week. And I feel so satisfied that I did, because a couple of thoughts that I had on this top before I finished it was the way it was fitting. I just felt like a sausage. Like I felt like it was too tight. It was not flattering. I just felt like I was kind of squeezing out in areas that were just not attractive. And I think once I get these straps blocked, for example, the ends woven in and everything finished, like I'm gonna feel really good about this. But even as it sits right now, I'm so much more satisfied than I was pre-blocking last month when I was trying it on before I added all of this. So I cannot wait for this to be truly done and I can wear it out in public. I think now as it is, I will wear it in public, whereas where it was last month without this part, this thing was never going to see the light of day. So I am very excited. It's certainly not 100% what I had envisioned, and it certainly is not perfect, but it is good enough. And for me, like, I feel like I can be wearing it and feel comfortable and confident. So super excited to see this. And once I get it to the point where I'm like styling it with outfits and stuff, maybe in a future podcast I'll share some photos of that. So this is a almost finished object. This is the Sorvette tee combined with the Cascada lace, and if you are newer to knitting and you want to try like a top then not have to pay for a pattern, I would recommend this. Anyway, that is enough about these things. Let me talk to you about another FO that you guys have never seen, start or finish or anything. It's completely new to the channel, as well as something, a whip that I was talking about for a while that I cannot wait to show you guys, and I'll share all the drama involved with that. So in previous episodes, I've talked a little bit about this Animal Friends of Pika-Pow. I think that's, yeah, Animal Friends of Pika-Pow. I have the first one and the third book, and they are the most precious, adorable dolls ever. I I don't know, I just liked her originality and the creativity that goes into creating these little dolls. If you check out my Instagram channel, you'll know that, or my Instagram account, Crochet Gone Crazy, you'll know that I have a lot of dolls on there. And when I got into knitting, when I was in my final trimester with my daughter, I kind of put the doll making on a back shelf, and I hadn't been making very many crochet dolls. But I recently, I think I'd been just frustrated with knitting because this wasn't turning out. My mom's shirt didn't exactly turn out. So there was like a lot of reasons for me to need like an easy win. And I don't know that I shared that with you guys on my previous episode, or if it was from the filming that I did that I never posted, but I needed something that was like gonna give me some joy and some like true success. And the nice thing about dolls is that you don't have to gauge swatch. It doesn't have to fit you. It's a self-contained unit, and when it's finished, it's finished. Like, there's one of my little dolls sitting on the shelf back there. I love the creative elements that are involved with taking a pattern and kind of making it your own. So for these dolls, this is the one that I was most interested in making next. I actually gave my husband a choice. I asked Luke, I'm like, pick out one that you want, and this is the one that he chose. And then I asked him to pick out colors. So you can see that this little guy has like some blues and like a petrol blue and yellow. I think it's ochre, technically, like his scarf, and then like a really light sky blue. So we went with a different color palette for my Hugo Bat, and I had my parents over a few weekends ago, last weekend I guess, and my dad saw me working on this and he thought it was very cool. And I've made my mom a doll before, but I've not made anything for my dad, so this might be going to my dad, so that each of my parents have a little made by me hanging out at their house. So I do have ends to weave in with the scarf, and I am still up in the air about making pom-poms. I also still need to add like the nose and the fangs and stuff, but really happy with the way he turned out. It's really funny because like I had all these body parts sitting in a Ziploc bag for like honestly a week or so before I had the bandwidth to like actually assemble it all. And I even did like one portion of the wing and then had to pull it all completely back out because I didn't like the way it was sitting. And then of course my mom, when she saw that I was working on it, she goes, oh, you know the arms are uneven. Well, yeah, but I mean, it's handmade, so it's not gonna be perfect. So yeah, this is my little Hugo Bat, and I just need to weave in the tails and add some pom-poms for the scarf, and he is and embroider the nose detail, and he's done. So I'm counting this as a finished object. This is again one of those things where like I'll weave in ends and do the nose details when I have like 10 minutes here and there, and I don't need like a full hour to get into the groove of knitting and such. So anyway, this was one that I started and finished since last episode, and I really like having him sit around my house, but I have so many dolls and creatures around here that I'm glad to already have like a plan for where he's gonna go. So yeah, here he is all bundled up. Oh, I did put floral wire in his big portion of the arms, and that just makes it kind of more fun in terms of, you know, posing and making him do different things. I will say that if you are contemplating putting wire in any of your toys, just be really mindful that a child will want to play with it, just because that's what children do. And so, you know, make sure that you're covering the wire, the pokey parts of the wire, so that the wire can't poke out and get somebody, stab somebody. That would be not that pleasant, I think. So anyway, enough about Hugo Bat. The other, I guess, whip that I've got going that is sort of in the same vein as Hugo, in the same book, Peek a Pow with Animal Friends, we have Murray the sea otter, and he looks like this. And my sister-in-law, her name is Hannah, and we've been spending a little bit of extra time with her this past month. My in-laws were at a conference speaking, and so I just hung out with her, kind of like a supervised companionship. She has Down syndrome and has like this wonderful display of Barbies, and she's always like organizing them and setting them in particular ways, and like I just don't know why it never occurred to me to make her something. But when I was hanging out with her, I asked her like, which one was your favorite, and do you like all these colors? And so she picked Murray the sea otter. She really wanted those colors, so I didn't have like this fawn brown, mink brown color, and they don't make that color in the yarn line that I buy from Hobby Lobby. It's just their basic cotton yarn, and so I'm making it out of the same brown as the Tilly the hare. It's like this deep chocolate brown, but I'm basically sticking with that color scheme of like brown and blue and white. And I have most of the body parts made for Murray the otter. I just need to do like the body, and I'm like maybe this far on the head. So it's not really something that I can hold up and show y'all very easily. I may insert a picture here of like all of the body parts and accessories laid out so you can see how far I am in this, because it's fun to document the progress that you've got in different areas. So that was one whip that has like just started. The other whip that had me really off knitting for just a little bit here was the Cozy Husband sweater that I had mentioned a while back. I had bought several hangs of Hawthorne by Knit Picks, their kettle dyed yarn, and I was very excited to make this for my husband, not because he's a huge sweater guy, but just because I think it would look really good on him. And you know, I don't think he has anything like this for the cooler weather when we do get those rare cool snaps here in Texas. And so I'd been like making myself wait to cast on until I had like some of these other projects done. So after I finished my mom's sweater and after I finished my Lento, I cast this on. And so this has been on the needles for maybe a month and a half now, and I had worked all the way through the yoke and had split for sleeves. I had a lot of trouble with this pattern only because I guess my dyslexic brain like got things confused, and so I had bought DK weight yarn for this fingering weight project, and I was like, well, what am I gonna do with all this yarn? Like, I got the yarn quantity for this project and it's the wrong weight. So I did a gauge swatch and blocked it and all of that. I think I talked about it in a previous video. And so I was doing the smallest size because even though my husband Luke is definitely more muscular guy, and so he really would need like the probably 4th size based on his measurements. But the yarn was bigger, so I was like, do I really need to go all the way up to the stitch count and everything for the 4th size? So there's a lot of confusion there, and I thought I had gotten it all perfect and situated, and I was maybe like, I don't know, 2 centimeters into the body after splitting for the sleeves, and I tried it on him and it was not gonna work. So then I'm kind of stuck figuring out like, okay, well, it's super wash, so it will stretch, but I also want him to wear it, so maybe I should pull it back and keep going, you know, to increase the yoke before splitting for sleeves, because I want him to wear it, and if he's uncomfortable in it, he's not gonna wear it. So like, I was all up in my head about this. I did eventually tink back last week. I didn't even tink back, I put in lifelines. I thought I did a good job, apparently I didn't. So it was a whole day of disastrous like trying to tink back 3 rows worth of yarn to get all of us like on the same round on my needles is crazy. I don't recommend doing it. Lifelines are better, especially if you're like, I'm not so sure. So that is why I actually have a lifeline in here now. This is front, yeah. And it's just this really cool like European open neck design, and I think I'll maybe post a photo of this, I'm not sure. But I finally got to the point where I've split for sleeves. I've used the entire first hank of yarn, and I have just attached this one for the first sleeve. I've decided to work sleeves first and then do the body. I did try it on Luke last night and it all seems to be fitting nicely in the shoulders. I did end up having to do some math to try to estimate like what my stitch counts should be based on his measurements, knowing that he will want some ease. So I really think this is gonna look good on him. It might not be as fitted as the design calls for, but I want him to wear it, and I think that when it's all done, he'll enjoy it. So anyway, we're not that far, but knowing that I had already gotten to this point, had to rip back and then increase more and then get back to this point, I actually really have done a lot of work on this. You just can't tell. So now that we're in this section though, I do feel that it's gonna kind of blow by. So I cannot wait to see how this comes together. I'm re-energized and excited to share with you my progress in this. I know it's not like in a display where you'll be able to see that much movement, but I think you'll be able to tell next time I film like how much progress I've made, because right now there's no sleeves. Like it is a crop top on him, and so next time we film we should have a whole sleeve, maybe even 2, we'll see. So can't wait to see this one moving forward again. I believe that's all of my whips and anything noteworthy to share. I now have chit-chatted for close enough to a half hour that I should probably wrap up this section. I'll tell you guys a little bit about why I've been AWOL, and then I'll talk to you about my future plans, so hold tight. Okay, so I promised you guys some background as to why I've been gone. I don't enjoy watching other people complain about their life, and so I will be brief, but I do feel like, I don't know, we're friends, so you will probably want to know what's going on and where I've been. So the weekend of Mother's Day, I noticed that my ears were really bothering me, and by that Sunday night, which was Mother's Day, I could tell I had a full-blown ear infection. Like my ears were leaking. It was the grossest thing ever. I've had swimmer's ear before. I kind of thought that's what it was, but it wasn't the same feeling. And so knowing what I know about swimmer's ear, I wasn't going to play around with it. So we got in to see the doctor immediately, and she put me on a prescription. But it turns out I had a double ear infection in the mid-ear, and it literally took like 2 weeks to get over. Like I'm still not wearing earbuds because I'm a little bit gun shy about like putting anything in my ears, but it was a highly infectious, like that's how I got it in both ears, because it transferred from one to the other. And so I was trying to be like super careful, and it was a very unpleasant experience. On top of that, I had some anxiety about my daughter. So she is 7 months old now, but I'm still breastfeeding her. If you can, I think that's the best way to go for children. And I really didn't want to stop breastfeeding her. Also, she's in the stage where she's very clingy, and oh, by the way, she's getting teeth. And so like taking away something that has been her like normal way to comfort herself for the past 7 months right now doesn't seem like a fair thing for her. But my doctor wanted me to get on this antibiotic that I can't breastfeed while I was taking it. And not only is it a 10-day antibiotic, but then there's a 10-day like flush this out of your system before you can go back to breastfeeding. So I was facing down 20 days of dealing with a sad, grumpy child who would not be able to understand why she couldn't have my milk. And I just really, really stress about that, trying to like build up my milk supply in case I did have to go on this antibiotic. Praise God, like I didn't have to do any of that. Between the antibiotic that I was originally prescribed, some topical drops that I was also prescribed, and some homeopathic remedies that someone special in my life helped me out with determining which ones I would need. I do think that I am actually past it, but it was 2 weeks of dripping ears and ear discomfort, and like anytime my child got near my ears, I was like, gotta go wash your hands, gotta go wash my hands. Like everybody needs to be careful because I don't want anybody else to have this like it's awful. So anyway, that was like my very first real Mother's Day, was struggling with an ear infection. So that was a bummer. And then the next 2 weekends after that, even with the ear infection, we went to the beach. So my like day that I film where my husband hangs out with my daughter, that was out the window. I enjoyed being at the beach, and we will probably be going to the beach more as the summer goes on. And so realistically, I probably won't be filming every week. I think we may switch to an every month rhythm. Because let's be honest, I am a stay-at-home mom with a infant, and she is getting more needing to be more hands-on. So in light of that, and in light of wanting to actually have things to show you guys that are like new with new episodes, I probably won't be filming as often as I was in the beginning. Anyway, I know nobody's shedding any tears, but I just thought I'd tell you guys. And then additionally, the other things that have happened in this past month is, like I mentioned earlier, my parents were in town, so that was so great to spend time with them and like let them see all the fun new things that our daughter's doing, because she is crawling now. She has her bottom 2 teeth, and like, I don't know which, this isn't the canine because that's the canine, but so she got just like this one tooth, and it was so cute. She looked like a little baby vampire. Now this past week and a half, she's actually cut the other remaining 3. So this one here on this side, and then she's getting the middle 2 right now. So she's been very grumpy, very needy. Also, if you didn't know, babies kind of start to understand object permanence when they're about 30-ish weeks old. And so 2 weeks ago, around the time she was getting her teeth, she was super clingy, super needy. I think people typically refer to what she's been going through as like the 6-month sleep regression, even though she's 7 months. So it's just been a lot as a mom to be going through all of that this past month. So big reason why I've been gone so much. Good reasons and bad reasons, but mostly good, exciting stuff. She is so much fun. She's starting to get such a personality to her and opinions. We're introducing food to her, and it's just amazing. Like, if you guys are on the fence about having children, make sure you're smart about it, because they can be a major life stressor, but also one of the best things that have ever happened to me. So can't recommend it enough. Let's see. I think that's pretty much all for life updates. I know that there's been other stuff going on. I've been like using my free time to mow the lawn because we've been getting rain here. So that's been an excellent workout, but time consuming because that grass just keeps growing. I don't know how that happens, but yeah, I think that's pretty much all. But I do want to tell you guys kind of the next things I've got planned. So once I have my husband's sweater kind of going in a smooth rhythm, I got my mom's sweater back. It does not fit her, and she would prefer a more tight closed-in neckline, and so I am gonna try to figure out a way to, I think I might do like a very like romantic style wide v-neck, so that I'm not having to knit up too much, but that boat neck that is like slipping off her shoulders is fixed. So that's one of the things that I want to work on. I also need to go back in and do some kind of hem. She doesn't like the way that the hem is rolling, which I understand. It just makes it seem like it's more cropped than it really is, and so I'm gonna go in and fix that. We're probably just gonna do a 1x1 or 2x2 or some kind of ribbing, just a narrow band around the bottom. I'm really haven't spent too much time thinking about it because I wanted to get some of the like intimidating projects like this and fixing the husband's cozy sweater before I thought about anything complicated, because fixing that shirt is going to be a little bit more mentally involved than stockinette in the round. So that being said, I have full plans and intentions to, once I finish the otter, I want to finish Tilly the hare, because I really do like having knitted dolls around, and it would feel really good to have a finished object from that pattern book. So I think that would give me momentum and encouragement to make more. I really like those dolls. I just am not there right now. That being said, the Cozy Husband sweater, I just pulled off a bunch of needles. Okay, I'm not gonna pick it up because I've got like live stitches now. But anyway, there are make left and make right increases on that sweater in the yoke, and I think having done so many rounds of make right, make left, I don't necessarily need to reference the pattern instructions in terms of which direction you're you're looping your yarn for your make right or make left. And so I think when I go back to pick up Tilly the Hare, it will like finish pretty quickly, because not only do I have most of it done, but now I've got these knitting skills that are a little bit more unconscious to do. Whereas before, every time I came to a make left or a make right, I had to go check the pattern instructions, like with the key of like, how do I do that stitch? And so if you're a crocheter, for example, you know, if you've been crocheting for a long amount of time, how to do a half crochet, how to do a single crochet, how to do a double or treble or that kind of thing. And if you've been crocheting for a while, that comes very easily to you. But if you're a new crocheter, you might have to be referencing the instructions on how to do those stitches if you don't do them that often. So anyway, all it is to say is I think I'm hitting a stride with the make right, make lefts. And so I think Tilly the Hare, once I pick it back up, will go pretty quick. So those are kind of like the two things I've got planned right now. I really want to go back to the artisan hoodie that I may have mentioned in my last episode. It is a DK weight yarn Tunisian crochet project, and I have interchangeable Tunisian crochet hooks that I got that have just been like sitting on my shelf smiling at me every time I see their shiny metal gleaming out of their case, and I cannot wait to use them. But I am being very disciplined and not starting anything new until I finish up some of the projects I have going. So those are kind of the only three things that I've really spent a lot of time thinking about. I know there's some other things I really want to make, and the gift love language in me is got like a million gift projects that I want to do, but we'll see. This is not a fast hobby, and it is so challenging to knit things for other people because you can't really try it on them. So as I learned with the husband sweater, like if I had just had him with me to try it on all the time, I probably wouldn't have had to go back and reknit so much. So anyway, those will be in the future. I'll share more whenever I get close to those kinds of projects, but right now I'm just kind of working through what I've got. I've been listening to a lot of books recently, so if you want to hear about book content, stick around a little more and I'll give you a brief overview. Okay, so there's so many books to share about that I don't think I can talk about all of them. What I will talk about is, I think, two. So the first one is this series called Little Britches. That's like the first book in the series. It is a true story based, it's told from the perspective, I think the boy is like 10 or 11 when the series starts, and I think they lived in Colorado in the very beginning, but it's all about like his adventures in the Wild West in the early 1900s, learning to be the man of the household and help support his family, and branching out in Colorado, and kind of like it is a whole different world. Like I cannot even comprehend letting a 10-year-old go do some of the things that this young boy is getting up to, which like is so cool because I am a huge proponent of like some of the Montessori philosophies and some of the free-range children philosophies, and so like I think it's so great that young people did those things, and I am saddened by the way that our society coddles our young people. So hopefully I don't fall victim to that. I am already a little bit that way as a mom. I'm like, oh, she bumped her head, or like she doesn't want to get water in her face or whatever, but like you're gonna experience that in real life, and so like let children experience that the world is not soft while they're at home, and you know, mom can be there to help them navigate those challenges. So anyway, such a cool book. But Luke and I have been listening to this series as we've been like driving places together. The beach that we go to is like, it's a car ride from our home, and so we'll pop that on while we're driving together. And it's really cool because both of our moms read these books to us when we were kids, and so to listen to them as an adult is so good. So the last one we listened to is Emma and Company. No, Mary, Emma and Company, I think. And it's just talking about like what happened when he was 12 and 13, I think, when they moved back east. I think they were near, like, in a suburb of Boston. So anyway, super cool to hear what life was like back then. So if you need a new wholesome read, Little Britches, that entire series, so good. Ralph Moody, I think, is the author. So that's that series. The nonfiction book that I just finished is called Bad Therapy by Abigail Schreier, I think. And that one was super fascinating. I was never like in therapy as a child. So there's a lot that I can't relate to firsthand, but my younger siblings, some of them have been through therapy. Some of my adult siblings have been in therapy. Some of my parents, like, you know, I often say when I was meeting with women in like a crisis pregnancy situation that like we can all use therapy, like we can all use somebody to like just talk through and share what is on our heart with people. And like I think we maybe used to not always call it therapy, but in today's society we have to pay somebody who's a professional to listen to us as we process, and I think there's a place for that. But this book was really fascinating because it talks about the way that like sometimes therapy doesn't help, and sometimes like it is important to like, I don't know, just realize that like we all have some way that our life isn't perfect and we all have struggles, and to like keep moving on. Like the Greatest Generation had so much hardship, and not saying that they don't have flaws too, because I do think that there's generational flaws that have been caused by the Greatest Generation, but they are called that for a reason. And so just to think through, like, sometimes you do just have to have a stiff upper lip and move forward, or accept like this world is not perfect, and you know, continue to live your life and not dwell and spend so much time thinking about how your life isn't perfect, because guess what, none of us have a perfect life. Like, I don't care who you're looking at, none of us have a perfect life. Like, I think my life is really stinking great, but the reality is that I'm sure if I spent time talking to somebody about where my life wasn't perfect, I could come up with a list, and I think that's true for everybody. So anyway, fascinating read. I have another of her books on my wish list. I haven't gotten that one yet, but if you are at all interested in therapy and culture and child rearing, and you're not gonna get your feelings hurt about somebody else's opinion, then I highly recommend that. And I think that's kind of important to keep in mind with any book I recommend, is like, I don't subscribe 100% to any book I've ever read. There might be one, but like I don't want to say that it's a buffet, but to some degree reading books is a buffet. Even listening to friends counsel or mom blogs or, you know, influencers, like, you take what makes sense and what you think is true, what works for you. And you know, I'm not gonna say that like everything's subjective and just, you know, go with what, you know, is best for you kind of thing, but like I expect any adult that I talk to, that I make recommendations to approach these recommendations critically. And if you disagree with me, which I'm completely open to, I would prefer to have a conversation about it, because I might not agree with whatever that point is either. So you and I might have the same belief about that topic, that the author takes a different perspective. So anyway, all that is to say, civil discourse is excellent, and when people recommend nonfiction, especially, I think it's important to take all of it with a grain of salt and think very critically about what you're reading and figure out, like, does this seem true in my experience? So anyway, I think I got off on a little bit of a tangent, or maybe it feels like I'm talking about a specific situation. It's more just a broad umbrella of like, this is how we conversate about things that can be controversial. So, and on that enigmatic note, is that how you say that word? I am gonna wrap this up because I know I've been talking for way too long. So thanks for sticking with me if you made it this far, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. If you have thoughts on books or patterns or anything that stuck out to you in this episode that you want to talk about in the comment section, this is not a ploy. I actually do really love enjoying interacting with people in the comment section. So if you've got something to say it and we will chat. So anyway, I hope you guys are being safe out there, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.